Good morning. Welcome to our podcast, Keeping Up with Len and Brie. I'm Len.
I'm Brie. Brianna.
Brianna, also known as Brie.
Yep.
So, you and I are doing our first podcast today.
Yeah.
Which I am so excited about.
Me too.
The suspense has been building, for me anyway. And so why don't we just kind of dive right in?
Let's jump in.
Just jump in and get into some real estate, which I think is where we're going to start and finish, and maybe we'll digress into some other areas.
All right.
So we already did this podcast. We just did it upstairs.
We did. We just had this big conversation. Should have been on camera then, but we're good.
It was kind of raw.
Yeah.
We're not naming names,
Nope,
so we're just
not.
going to keep this very superficial and friendly. Not superficial, but we're going to keep it very friendly.
Yep.
And very certainly a family show, right?
Right.
So I guess I thought this was going to be more of a Q&A because I was dying to ask you some questions.
All right. Shoot.
So I'm going to.
All right. Ask me. Shoot away.
Because I see you and I think in a way you and we're very similar. The only thing that separates us is probably about 50 years. Other than that, I think we both are high energy.
Yeah.
I think we're both super motivated. You know, we're both like just trying to get after it in a way that's very old school. It's like the American dream is right in front of us and you just want to just reach out and just grab it. And if somebody moves it, you just reach further. If somebody tries to move it on us. And so I see the energy, I see that fire in the belly, and I see that confidence in you. You strike me as somebody that's very confident, which I think is such a plus in real estate because it's like you need to be confident in real estate.
I think so too. If you're not confident, then your clients aren't confident.
Exactly. Bingo.
No one's confident in the whole deal, and it's going to fall apart at some point.
Energy, self-confidence, which is just such a plus, and knowledge and intelligence and an understanding of real estate, which obviously you have. So tell me a little bit. So again, I see you and I as having a lot of, we have a lot of overlap. We both have that energy. We both have that desire to get ahead and that desire to improve ourselves and our lives for our kids and the people around us. But just talk a little bit, if you would, about, what brought you into real estate, your journey, because I know a lot of it, but I don't know all of it. I want to know all of it. I want to know more.
So my background is nothing to do with real estate. My background is a mesh of a lot. So I worked at Citizens Bank when I was like 18 till I was 21. And I did home equity lines and kind of dabbled in a little bit of real estate, but not really. I wasn't an agent or anything. And then one day I woke up and I joined the military. So I was in the Army, nothing to do with an actual job that relates out here. It was artillery. I shot rockets and missiles. And then I got out of the Army for my kids and became a paramedic. So I worked on an ambulance for a while when we were stationed in North Carolina. And then we got orders again because we've moved 14, 15 times in the past 9 years. And we were in Germany and COVID hit.
Right.
And COVID was ridiculous in Germany. You guys here got on lockdown, but real lockdown is not here. It was in Europe. We couldn't go more than like 60 feet out of our front door. My kids were getting anxiety, and I was like, all right, it's time to go home. So my husband stayed, and I came back. My family friend, Rhonda, she owned her own brokerage at the time, and I flew home. I took my real estate exam, and I went back to Germany, and I sat in front of my computer for 4 months and learned how to do everything. Built my website, built my Facebook, built my ad structures, built everything. And then I came back and hit the ground running. And I've been doing real estate for only 9 months. And I've done maybe, 15, 16 transactions this year in 9 months.
It's remarkable.
It's been great. I mean, it's a lot to learn. It was a lot to digest at first, but I mean, I'm pretty comfortable in what I know. I have a degree in building construction and fire science, so that really helped me in real estate, which I never knew was going to help me until I actually jumped into real estate. Mm-hmm. Why I did it is because I wanted to be a fire medic. So, but now knowing the building construction and everything, when I go see houses with clients and they ask me about building construction and like stuff that, what is this, what is that, what do you think about the foundation? Yeah, I'm not a building inspector, I'm not a home inspector, I can't tell you for sure, but I do have an understanding and a knowledge of it. So it's really helped me out in real estate so far.
I think working with you has been so much fun.
It has been fun.
It's been a lot of fun because I love your candor. I love the way you just tell it like it is, and you don't beat about the bush or beat around the bush. You're very direct, but we all benefit because it avoids trying to interpret, it avoids trying to read between the lines. I like the way you show leadership on your transactions. Buyers, of course, buyers and sellers are always given the option as to who to work with and selections to be made. But if they're looking to you for direction, I love the way you're providing it to them. So you're always supplying that leadership, and I'm guessing that probably comes maybe not only from your natural personality, but the military probably has something to do with that.
Most likely, yeah. I mean, I just think that when you gain a client as a real estate agent, giving them what they need and having them be prepared from start to finish is ideal. I mean, leaving some wishy-washy questions for other people in the middle and you not knowing what to do kind of leaves doubt for them and anxiety and stress. I mean, it's already stressful buying a house for the first time, or maybe it's your third time, and a majority of the clients that I work with are veterans. So they're getting PCS orders to come here, and that's stressful enough, believe me. I've done it 14 times in 9 years, and it's not fun. I mean, you have to pack up your whole stuff. They've never been to Massachusetts before. I have clients that I'm working with now that are in Guam. They're on another side of the world, and they're trying to buy a house before they get here, so they have somewhere for their family to live when they arrive. So preparing them for the steps throughout the whole entire process is ideal. I mean, I explain the whole entire mortgage aspect. Like, this is what you're gonna have to do to get a pre-approval. And then we go there. Okay, then we're gonna find a house. We haven't even picked any houses, haven't seen houses yet. Well, we've looked at them online and gone back and forth, but they're still a little bit far out, so we've just dabbled in it. We've talked about closing, we've talked about working with our attorneys, what to expect from the attorneys, and that leaves them in a comfortable state where when these steps start actually coming into play, there's no, well, what is this? And they get startled and they have a whole bunch of questions and they feel overwhelmed, and maybe they're like, okay, well, we're just gonna rent because this is too overwhelming. So that's where I like to make sure that everybody is prepared coming in. And I guess that's kind of where the leadership portion comes in, because when I send you a deal, they're not lost on the sauce. Right. They know what's coming and they know what to expect, and from there it's just smooth sailing until closing.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think I think another thing that I really appreciate about you is, and it's reminiscent, I think, of maybe pre-pandemic or maybe further back than that, is your sense of confidence. I love that confidence. I don't know if that's a natural characteristic or if that's, again, maybe the military has something to do with that, but I'm reminiscing and I'm somewhat wistful about a United States where your average person had this sense of confidence, whether it was confidence that things were going to get better, or confidence in the government, or confidence in their neighborhood or their school board. And I've seen that eroded. I don't want to get off topic here or get into politics. I think regardless of how we got here, I think sometimes I feel like we're almost in this sort of this state of what we used to call high anxiety. And in real estate, we're on the front lines of that very often. And I think we can either channel that anxiety, we can be heaping gasoline on that fire, or we can neutralize that anxiety by trying to be confident and trying to instill confidence in the people that we're working with. Because really, at the end of the day, as realtors and real estate attorneys and loan officers, we are expected to sort of lead the process. And if we lead with confidence and we do our jobs, then I think people will follow, and they'll believe in us, and they'll believe in the process, and not be worried about every last detail.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts about that?
No, I agree. I think that the housing market that we're in right now is very high stress and high anxiety for everybody.
No
I
question.
mean, everybody is trying to buy, and there's just not enough inventory. I mean, when something pops up, it's gone the next day, and people are like, all right, well, I didn't even get a chance to see it. So yeah, agents are putting timelines for offers due, and they're getting, I mean, Massachusetts, I think, is still high like that. I think New Hampshire's gotten a little bit better, in my opinion. I think New Hampshire stuff's staying, I say better, but like maybe like 6 days, 7 days, you know?
Yeah.
You have time. Even with offer due by dates. I mean, there's inventory coming. It's the holiday season. Stuff's going to start slowing down for everybody. And no one wants to move during the holidays. They want to wait until January, where then it's going to start getting crazy again. But I think the people that do want to move right now, and they're thinking about moving, now would be the time. I mean, if you find something that you like and you have to sell to buy, you have to put your house on the market to buy something.
True.
Because we're not in that buyer's market. I mean, we're not in the buyer's market anymore, where you can wait to find something, put an offer, and they're going to wait for you to sell your house. It's just not going to happen.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So having an offer on your house already is good for you to start moving in. It eases a lot of the anxiety of all parties.
I completely agree. I couldn't agree with you more. And I've seen that on display. I see you working with your buyers and sellers, New Hampshire and Massachusetts, single family, multifamily, large estates, smaller, more modest properties. So the properties change, the clients change, the circumstances change, but I see you bringing a consistent Brie to the process every time, which I think is great. You're not trying necessarily to adapt to the transaction, although you're adaptable, but you're trying to be consistent, be
With
genuine,
everybody.
and be genuine, and the true you, as it were.
I think a big thing right now is, with the anxiety, going back a little bit to the anxiety, is
out of
people in
control.
the market with, people are waiving inspections, people are waiving appraisals, people are waiving everything. They're just throwing their whole life savings at a house because and taking the risks that are associated with it, which I think is a little rocky. I mean, waiving an inspection, would you waive an inspection on a house that you're buying?
Probably not.
Yeah. I mean, if it's
Probably
not a
not.
brand new house, I mean,
But if I just had to have it,
yeah,
as they say,
then you have to do it. I mean,
and that's the price of admission.
it is, but at the same time, I mean, the different strategies that go around that, for that, I mean, whether you do it for informational purposes, just so you know what you're walking into, or you do it for actual purposes of them maybe trying to fix it for you in this market, I mean, good luck.
But
Who
here's
are we
what-
going to do that?
Just
But-
to play with that example, though, and again, this goes to my wiring a little bit, and I don't want to be too preachy here, but again, I'm old school. I'm dyed in the wool. I'm old school. Born in 1968. There's nothing we can do about it. If I bought a house
Yeah.
and I waived the inspection and I discovered a problem after the closing, I don't care what the magnitude of that problem is. I would roll up my sleeves and I would dig in and I would address the problem. I would take responsibility for having waived the inspection. I wouldn't bemoan my plight. I wouldn't decry the situation. I wouldn't go after the people involved. I would do what the pioneers and the Marines and all those other great Americans that we love did. I would just suck it up.
Well, yeah, because at that point,
And take the pain, But we get the calls from people afterwards. There's a leaky faucet, or there's a little pool of water in the backyard, and they want to sue everybody and file complaints and everything like that. And that's their right, and I'm not judging that either, because that
Yeah.
is, and maybe I'd do the same. But I just feel like if you're going to waive the inspections,
you
then
have
you're
to
gonna
take the consequences that come with it.
You have to. You really have to do it.
Yeah. And what do you think about waiving appraisals from a legality, from a legal perspective? Like, what do you think about people waiving their appraisals?
Well, the circumstances behind that are somewhat specialized and somewhat limited. So the only time now, I'm not a loan officer, and I don't play one on television, and I don't play one on this podcast. But I think the only time that we can truly dispense with the appraisal is when the lender is satisfied that the borrower's down payment is sufficient, so that even if all what breaks loose, the
They're
lender's
good.
not going to be holding the bag.
Yeah.
So ultimately, that's a lender call the buyer will usually go along with it because it makes the process more expedient and it removes an obstacle from the process. So the buyer would be within their rights to say, and of course it saves the buyer the money because they don't have to spend the $500 on the appraisal. But a savvy buyer that wasn't, again, freaked out. We're going to keep coming back to the anxiety because I'm telling you,
it's high.
You can't boil it out of this process. There's anxiety at every turn. But a borrower that wasn't anxious about the appraisal being done in time, coming in at value, would say to their bank, you know what? I don't want a desk appraisal. I want the real McCoy. And I'll pay the $500.
Yeah.
But let's do the appraisal. Let's get it done.
Just so you know.
Don't delay my closing. But I don't want to take that shortcut.
Yeah.
I don't want to take that shortcut. And I don't want you to take that shortcut.
I mean, I think waiving an appraisal is a little bit
because
risky
it's the borrower's money that's at risk.
Yeah, I mean, it's the borrower's money at risk, and they don't, at that point, they don't even know what they just did. I mean, without an appraisal, like, you don't know how much your house is even worth in an actual market, what it is right now.
In an inflationary market.
Yeah, I mean, and you just don't know. So you don't know where you stand with your offer. And as soon as that, I mean, I think that if you're competing against people with these appraisals, I think covering a little portion of the gap is something that I'm seeing a lot. People saying, okay, well, I'll cover 5 or 10,000 over whatever comes into appraisal with the cap of whatever they offered.
Right.
So, I mean, if you're not going to waive an appraisal, putting in an appraisal gap can sometimes make your offer look more acceptable to a seller, just so that they feel a little bit more comfortable should it come in under what you offered, since right now we're offering so much over market value of houses or list price of houses. But the appraisal market is starting to catch up a little bit, I think. So houses are starting to appraise for more than what we're listing them for.
Thankfully.
Sometimes, which is good, but covering that little piece of appraisal gap is a strategy that I've seen a lot lately.
I agree. Now let me ask you this, just to sort of shift gears and get from all business to, not personal, but get to some lighthearted stuff. What do you want for Christmas this year?
What do I want for Christmas this year?
Just putting it out there.
I want my husband's leave to get approved and him to stay home for Christmas instead of going to North Carolina without us, but that's what I want.
You two are such a fabulous couple, the ultimate power couple, two people that are crazy in love all these years later with the kids and the military living in Europe. Nothing but curveballs thrown at you, and you two are like newlyweds.
Yeah.
It's touching.
It's been, we've probably gotten more obstacles than the average couple.
No question.
Just the past year. I mean, we've been apart for 9 months with kids, and he still has 3 years left on his contract, and we're going to do what's best for our family. If he's getting out in 3 years, me staying here and building my business and building my kids. This is the ideal situation for the kids. Their sports are here. My sons play ice hockey. That's awesome.
Yep.
You know, I live my life in an ice rink in a sweatshirt and a hat. And then, I mean, their school, their friends, it's hard. And I mean, for us to go to North Carolina temporarily for 3 years, it's just not the best move for our family. Yeah. And it sucks, it does. I mean, he'll fly home on weekends and we'll go there for summer vacations, but it's just another hurdle, we're just waiting to get to the end game. I mean, the time's ticking, 3 more years. I mean, it's always another year, another curveball, another something, but
it's true.
We've made it through it, and we're still best friends.
And not only that, but it's obvious to me anyway, you're enjoying the journey, right? And isn't that, we always get caught up in that destination. Just let me know when we get there. Wake me when we pull in. But you are definitely somebody who is enjoying the journey. I mean, and the journey has had its challenges, of course. Being in the military, I mean, this is a very challenging life.
It is. When I got out of the Army, I was done with the Army, and I wasn't done with the Army. So, I mean,
well, you were done with them, but they weren't done with you.
Yeah, I was done with them. They weren't done with me, because now my husband's still there, so I'm still living the struggles and the stuff that I left, and we're still dealing with it. And now we have 3 kids who want their dad all the time, and it's hard. But
totally natural.
One of us, we have to make sacrifice for the better good of 3 years.
Yeah.
You know?
It's true. I love your answer to that question, which again, I think this podcast is so good because we do have so many shared values, so I think it makes this conversation very natural and very, it's got a real flow to it. But I love your answer to that question. I asked you, I mean, I just threw that right down the middle of the plate and asked you, what do you want for Christmas? Could have said fur coat, new car, diamond ring. But you went for the intangible. I want my husband to be here for the long haul. You know, I want our period of separation to be minimized. You went for the intangible. You went for a concept as opposed to sort of a material item. And, you know,
material items are dispensable.
no question.
I mean,
no question.
a new shirt, new shoes, a new necklace, like, it is what it is. It's
Yeah.
great, but it's just a thing, and it lasts, it breaks, you throw it away.
Yep, pretty much, right?
Yeah.
Pretty much.
I'd rather something that's actually gonna
Yeah.
mean something or make something, you know what I mean?
It's true. And I think real estate, one of the things I like about real estate, so I mean, I love your answer to that question, and I've got sort of my list of Christmas wants.
Yeah, what do you want for Christmas,
What do I
Len?
want for Christmas? Well, I've got, I mean, I want, when you get to my age, believe me, it gets simple. You want to just live. I want to be alive next week, and then I want to be alive the week after that. So I want to live. I'd like to survive the holidays, like physically and otherwise. But I mean, you really do. As you get older, it gets simpler. You know, when I was in my early 20s, I was all about, I want a suit, I want a car, I want a Rolex, I want to, you know, it was all, I mean, I had to work my way all the way down to the list before I got to like health, everybody to be happy, world peace. That was like at the bottom of the list, if it even made the list. But as you get older, that list flips, and maybe there's some little sort of trinket that you want to go out and get, but mainly it's like health, well-being, happiness. I don't want to get a phone call at 2 o'clock in the morning that somebody's sick or in trouble or in despair. So there's no question. And this is why, again, I want to give you credit, and I'm not just, you know, I'm not just trying to butter you up. You're all of what, 29 years old?
Yep.
So you're flipping the script. When I was 29, I was almost singularly focused. Now, times have changed. People aren't as materialistic as they used to be, and I think that's probably a blessing. When I was 29, it was all about trying to keep up with the Joneses. Oh, look, the people across the street got a new car. You know, we need a new car. Oh, I see that, you know, he's got a new set of golf clubs. You know, I should get a new set of golf clubs. And there was really people flying, almost flying in formation. And it really, and on some level, it's a rite of passage, but it's also superficial. And I think if you're in your 20s and you're doing it, it's okay. If you're in your 50s and you're doing it, that's a problem. But I love the fact that you're 29 years old and you've just skipped all that. You've just bypassed that. I mean, you dress great. You drive we know what a nice car you drive. So you kind of skipped it.
Well, I kind of grew up a little bit
But I think you
fast.
keep it in perspective. You drive a nice car. You dress nice. You have nice things. But these things could be taken from you tomorrow. You wouldn't care, would you?
I mean,
Well, maybe a little.
maybe a little.
But you're only 29. You get a pass.
And the reality of it, not really. I mean, yeah. I mean, I would care a little bit, but
hear you.
and not in.
Well, you
the
paid for
big
these
scale
things. I mean, you wouldn't want
do.
somebody to come and take them
But
away
I think
from
I
you.
grew up kind of fast because I actually dropped out of high school. You may have not even known this, but
I did know that.
I dropped out of high school on my 16th birthday and my freshman year of high school, and I actually took my GED and got 5 times the national average, and I went to college the same year. 6 weeks after I dropped out, I was sitting in my first college class, and
Amazing.
I graduated college the same year that I would have graduated high school. So all my peers were graduating high school, and I was already done with college. So I think I kind of experienced a lot of the 20s stuff when I was really young, and I was 17 years old. I was in college. I mean, I graduated college at 20, and that was 19. I was 19. I graduated college, and that was it.
Yeah.
I mean, and then I was working. So when I was working is when everybody was in college having their fun time of wants and stuff. And I think I grew up a little bit. I grew up fast, and I moved past all the wants of shoes and clothes, and now I just want my family.
Right.
You know?
Right. You shaved some time off of high school, you shaved some time off of college, you grabbed a year here, you grabbed a year there, and that's why you sit at the age of 29. So if I card you, if I look at your license, it says, okay, let's see, Bree's 29 years old, but you carry yourself like somebody that's older than that. Maybe not a lot older, maybe 35, 36, whatever it might be. But still, it's great because, you know, it's that old saying, if I only knew then what I know now. In other words, you get to a point in your life and you look back and you're like, if I had this much knowledge and wisdom when I was 18 years old, everything would be different.
Yeah.
But there are people out there. There aren't many. They're few and far between, and I'm not one of them. So I'll take myself right out of that group. But I made every mistake in the book twice, just for good measure. And I learned every lesson I ever learned the hard way. So I'm certainly not among them. But there are people out there that have the wisdom and the ingenuity to sidestep a lot of the BS that the rest of us get tangled up in and get caught up in, and they just go from point A to point B. And I'm an admirer of you because I see you on a track similar to that. I see you sidestepping a lot of BS. We'll say BS because this is a family show. We know what that stands for. I see you sidestepping and avoiding a lot of BS to get from point A to point B, and you're not making the same rookie mistakes that a lot of us make, that I made. I mean, I'm still making rookie mistakes.
I mean, I still make mistakes. We're all human.
I know you're not infallible.
Not some big ones.
I know you're not infallible, but let's face it, you're young, you're educated, you've got a great situation with your husband, you're a veteran, and for that you deserve respect. So you squeezed that in. I'm not a veteran. I wish I'd been a veteran. I come from a family of veterans. My father begged me to join the Navy, but I was too busy. Stop me if you've heard that before. I had too many things to do. Looking back, I wish I'd followed his advice for 1,000 different reasons. But nevertheless, so you've squeezed a lot in, and I know you're not infallible, and there are probably some mistakes yet in front of you, which they lurk and wait for all of us. But still, you are going about things the right way, and the proof is in the pudding. You're getting good results. You have a good life, which is the ultimate sort of litmus test for, am I doing the right thing? Well, look around. If you've got a good life, if you're happy, if the bills are paid, if the kids are, clothed, fed, busy, annoying everybody, then
we all have those. Those 2-year-olds are fickle.
No question about it. Let's talk about, it always comes back to real estate. And again, you're tuning in for Keeping Up with Len Brie, and I'm Len Foy. I'm part of this podcast.
And I'm Brianna Santana. I'm part of it too.
The better half of this podcast, without question.
Stop.
And let's talk about, just to lead into it, I just want to say I love the holidays, don't you?
I love them. It's my favorite time of year. I can't wait to put my Christmas tree up.
I mean, somebody could firebomb my house and I would probably shrug it off. I'm just so happy about the holidays. I'm impossible to antagonize during this time of year. I really am.
Yeah, me too. I love Christmas. It's my favorite.
I just take everything on the chin. Now that's going to change on January 2nd. I'm going to go back to the sort of cantankerous grouch that's,
oh, stop. Well, you're not a grouch. You're always upbeat and happy.
I try. But let's talk about, so the holidays are fun. We're excited. This is the best time of the year. We know that. Talk to me about 2022 personal and professional aspirations for next year. It's right there in front of you. It's like you're teeing up to make a great putt at Spyglass, to use a golf analogy. Pick your own analogy. What do you want from this year? Make your case, put your list of demands on the table, go on the record. What do you want from 2022?
I want to grow in 2022 professionally, personally. I mean, I work with, a lot of military. I always work with military and relocation clients. That's just, I work with everybody.
Talk about that book of yours. We gotta talk about that.
It's not just, I don't just work with them, but a majority of that is what I do. So PCS season will start. The spring PCSers will start coming in. I already have talked to a lot of them, and for 2022, I just want to hit the ground running and want to have my best year yet. I mean, I haven't even been doing real estate for a full year. February will be my first whole year. And I just want to grow and be better than I was this year. I have learned so much over the past year that I think that I can give to clients and give to everybody next year. So I want to just keep going with it and run. I mean, yes, I did release a book this year about the VA real estate agent, on really just touching on.
Why did you write this book?
All right, so as a veteran, when I bought my first house, we buy a house at every duty station that we move to because it's the smartest choice for me. Paying someone else's mortgage really isn't in the cards for me. So we buy at every base. When I first was buying my first house in Fort Sill, Oklahoma, I scoured everywhere for information about buying with VA. You find Veterans United's page with their information, and they're they charge you a whole bunch of fees, and they don't really have that great info. So there's really no concrete information, and there's no information from a personal standpoint of somebody else. So when I get first-time home buyers that are on VA loans and they're coming to this duty station and they want to buy a house, they have so many questions. They have no idea how the process works. I didn't either. I was lost. So I wrote the book on what you're entitled to, how the process is going to be, what it's going to look like for you, and really the difference between renting and buying with VA. So a lot of people get to a duty station like, all right, well, we're just going to rent because it's cheaper. So veterans are just like, when they're first starting to look for a house and they haven't used their VA loan before, they get lost. I mean, I didn't know where to start. A lot of them don't know where to start. So the book is really showing them that you can buy a house for cheaper than you can rent, especially in the Northeast. I mean, if you come up here and you're looking to rent, say you have 2 kids, maybe you have a dog. Good luck if you have a pet finding a rental. I mean, you're going to pay astronomical costs. You're looking at probably almost $3,000 a month in rent for a single family house that allows a pet, and you have kids, you want a backyard. That's $3,000, right? So if you buy a $500,000 house on a VA right now with the interest rate so low, you're looking at maybe $2,000 a month in your principal and interest, $2,096, maybe like $2,100, and then your taxes and insurance and utilities, maybe like $2,800, $2,900. So yeah, you may be only $200 off, but I like to think of it as we get BH when we go somewhere, which is a housing allowance, right? If you're renting, you're throwing your housing allowance away. If you're buying, it's a savings account.
True.
I think of it.
I agree.
I mean, other than your funding fee, all that money is just going into a savings account for you. Yeah, you're paying interest and stuff, but the rest of that is a savings account. You're buying an asset while you're here. If you're only here for 3 years, I mean, yeah, you're buying an asset. You can put renters in there after and let them pay your mortgage and some, and keep some extra at the end of it.
Right.
I mean, that's what we did. We had houses and we put renters in them. We had tenants, and then we moved on and got a new house. And I mean, it was great for a couple of years. Now I've offloaded a lot of our rental properties in the market. I mean, just so that, because we're done. I mean, when we get out of the military, I don't want to deal with it anymore. Right. I just don't. I just want to be done with tenants, and you know, it gets old. It's been 10 years. I'm done.
It does.
It can. I mean, sometimes it's great, but for now, I just want to buy my own house and my forever home and never move again.
I hear you. I hear you. How do, and again, I think it's remarkable that you wrote this book. I think a lot of us, I'm sort of a frustrated writer at heart. I've been threatening to write a book now for so many years. Hopefully one of these days I'll make good on that threat. I want to write the great American paperback, just like I want to make the great American martini, you know, these sort of aspirations. And I've been largely unsuccessful on both fronts. But, so I'm just so impressed that you actually, a lot of writers dwell in the, I want to write a book. That's kind of where I'm at. And then eventually, hopefully some of them get to, I'm writing a book and then I wrote a book. You basically just sort of shortened up that process by, I don't know, decades, and went from like, I want to write a book, I'm writing a book, I wrote a book. How do people get this book? What's the title of this book? Does it have a title? The
Veteran Real Estate Agent. It's on Amazon, it's on Apple Books. All the proceeds from the book's only on there for, I think it's $1.99. I didn't write it for making money off of a book. I wrote it for information, and Amazon makes you put a monetary dollar. I think I make 30 cents every time I sell one. But all of it gets donated to the VFW posts.
Yeah.
So
it's
it goes
remarkable.
back.
It's remarkable because, you know, we owe our veterans so much, but it's almost like lip service. We all say that, but how do we go from sort of aspirations of, you know, we really should do more to doing something? I think you writing this book is so remarkable because it really is, it's like a toolkit for veterans. I know veterans that have bought homes that haven't even availed themselves of the VA financing because they were concerned that their offers wouldn't be accepted. So these are veterans foregoing their right to utilize a VA loan to buy a home.
And people do that. I mean, because
which is a travesty.
I think that a lot of agents that are accepting them are confusing them and thinking that they have FHA guidelines on them. The VA requires a pest inspection. That's all they require. They're not going to lend on a house that has termites. If you don't have termites, then you have no issues.
Right.
I mean, on a pest inspection, the VA, the actual veteran, is not allowed to pay for the pest inspection.
Right.
And sometimes they have to ask the seller for a credit or have the seller do it. It's $100.
Right.
Some people have a problem with it. I end up paying for it for most of my clients.
Sure.
I'm like, listen, it's not a big deal. I don't even care. It's $100. It is what it is. I'll pay for it. Move in your house. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So, I mean, that's the only really thing. I mean, and then they have the amendatory clause, but I mean, if we're already through appraisal and then signing the amendatory, it doesn't really matter. I mean, so a lot of veterans.
And I've had clients
get
that have balked at signing that form.
Which I don't get. I mean,
neither do I.
A lot of the time, I mean, they can get their deposit back if the appraisal comes in below. As long as there's appraisal language in your offer,
right,
that amendatory clause is useless. Right. I mean, if my client says I'm going to pay $5,000 over the appraised value with a cap of the purchase price, they're going to pay $5,000 over whatever it appraises for either way. So there's no difference whether you sign the amendatory or you don't sign the amendatory. The amendatory is null and void at this point because they have appraisal language in their offer.
Correct.
So, I mean, I think that's where a lot of people get stumped and get scared with appraisals, I mean, with VA loans, and I don't understand why.
Yeah.
But I don't really have a lot of problems with VA loans because I advocate for them when I do my offer. I mean, if the other agent doesn't know much about VA loans, I mean, if they don't do VA, they haven't lived VA, they may not know everything there is to know about VA. Mm-hmm. But that's my specialty, and I advocate for my clients with their offer that their VA loan is not going to destroy a deal.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I've heard, I mean, in fact, I was in this very room that I heard a borrower who forewent his right to use a VA loan to buy a home and all of the advantages that go along with that, and utilized a conventional product to close and lamented it publicly in a room full of people, and I think we were all on the edge of tears. And this illustrates, I think, the unique, you and I have I think many things in common, but among them would be the fact that we are both acting in representative capacities. I'm representing clients and you're representing clients. And when you're representing a client, there's a duality to it. We have to honor the wishes of our clients, so long as their wishes are ethical and legal. And that's a pretty low bar. But once we've gotten over the legal bar and the ethics bar, we have to honor their wishes. We have a responsibility not to defy or try to subvert our own clients. But we have to educate and we have to lead. And sometimes our clients are in need of education, and sometimes they're in need of leadership. I've had a client say, you know, I don't want to be a part of a VA loan. I think that, you know, this is going to be harder and that's going to be harder. So just for the sake of emphasis and to make this somewhat educational, explain to me, give me your elevator pitch on why a VA loan is not going to make the process more difficult or cumbersome for the parties and certainly the seller.
So a VA loan is guaranteed by the government. I mean, it's
who wants 100%, to make the loan to the veteran?
Yeah, I mean, it's 100% guaranteed by the government. There's no down payment needed, and that scares some agents when they think there's no down payment needed, like this is scary, they're not putting anything down. But they don't have to put anything down because the government is backing their whole entire loan. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's guaranteed, it's 100% guaranteed loan, so there's no...
And assumable.
Yeah, and assumable. I mean, there's no issues when it comes to are they going to get this loan. If they have a pre-qual, they're getting the loan.
Right.
I mean, no down payment's going to change that.
It's a sure thing.
It's a sure thing. Like, it's a sure loan. Like, their financing isn't going to change in the middle of the deal from conventional to FHA. They're not going to try to slide that in and change the deals, you know? I mean, they're not going to change their financing. You're going to get a VA loan. At the end of the day, it's always going to be VA.
Does that actually happen?
It does.
Really?
Yes, it does happen.
Shocking.
People will change it in the middle of the deal. So you're going to get a VA at the end. The only thing that's going to have to happen, say they waive inspection, they're going to have to get a pest inspection. It's $100, takes 20 minutes, not a big deal. Mm-hmm. You don't have termites, you have nothing to worry about. That's it. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think there's a lot less stipulations than even maybe conventional. I mean, conventional, you need the 20% down. Well, what if Cindy over here goes and buys a purse and now they're 20% down, they are $5,000 short.
Right.
Now they're like, oh my God, the deal could derail because we don't have this down anymore. Correct. You know what I mean? Or Cindy goes and buys a car. VA loans don't require a whole 760 credit score either. Mm-hmm. I mean, because the government is backing it. Like, correct. It's okay. So Cindy buying a car, a bag, no down payment, maybe she changed her credit situation. That's not going to happen with VA. Right. Because circumstances like that aren't going to change it. I was Cindy. My first VA loan, I went and bought a car 2 weeks before closing. Like,
so you could show up at the closing in style. You wanted to just pull up there in the new ride and just represent.
So it was bad. It was a bad call. I was naive.
Bad timing.
I didn't know what was going on. My loan officer, my agent didn't really prepare me. They didn't tell me I couldn't. I didn't think about it. I just went and bought a new car, and they were like, "Oh my God, what did you just do?" And I was like, "All right, but it's fine, and it's not a big deal, and it didn't cause any delays. It was whatever because we had a VA loan."
Yeah.
We didn't have to put money down. We didn't have to meet a drastic credit score. I mean, we had great credit, but knocking it down 30 points because I bought a car didn't change any difference in our financing.
Right.
Because we were VA.
If that had been conventional, that deal would have fallen apart.
It probably would have.
No question.
And my husband probably would have killed me. But it's fine.
But you would have had the car.
Yes, I would have had the car. But it didn't. And I didn't know any better. I mean, I know now, and I always tell my clients now because of my mistake, like, all right, don't go buy a car now.
Yeah.
Even though, like, it's fine.
It's good advice. Sage advice.
VA is a lot, I think, less stipulations than a conventional loan to begin with. I mean, and the no down payment shouldn't be scary for people seeing it. It should be, okay, this person has sacrificed their life, been in the Army, dealt with all the, I mean, you guys have heard of all my sacrifices that I'm doing and I'm not even in anymore.
So much,
I mean,
a lot of drama.
Yeah, it's a lot of sacrifices, and it's not just sacrifices of yourself. You sacrifice your family, you sacrifice hockey games, you sacrifice everything. And they just want to buy a house, and people are like, oh my God, no, you're not putting anything down.
Right.
But it doesn't really matter. Like, who cares if you're putting something down? This loan is going to go through.
Right, exactly.
So you're still getting your money either way.
Right.
So I don't get, and I do have these conversations when my clients put in offers and stuff on houses, and the other agent doesn't really know what's going on with VA. I explain it because we have to advocate for our clients.
Absolutely.
Through the whole stages, from beginning to end.
No question about it. In fact, I can remember during the last financial meltdown, which I remember vividly, starkly, which you saw our financial markets disintegrating real time. You saw mortgage products disappearing. So a mortgage product that was available to you on Tuesday was unavailable on Thursday because of what the stock market did on Wednesday. And a lot of very exotic mortgage products went away very quickly. But the VA loans didn't, because those loans are backed by the federal government. So those loans aren't going anywhere. This has been such a fascinating conversation. It's a conversation that you don't want it to end, and it won't, because we'll do another podcast.
We are going to do another one. We're going to do one about Len, and we're going to find out why Len became an attorney.
You're going to have to give me the sodium pentothal for me to come clean. Otherwise, I'm going to be very tight-lipped. I try to keep my
Well, we're going to see why he became a real estate attorney and what he likes about doing real estate. I mean, we love working together. I like the people that I meet during real estate. It's not about the money, and for me, I mean, it is what it is. For me, it's not about the money. It's not about the sale. I'll be the first to tell you not to buy a house when I'm showing you a house, because I see something wrong with it and it's going to be a money pit. I'll be the first one to say, no, you're not buying this house. Let's keep looking.
Right.
I don't care if you buy a house or you don't buy a house. You want to buy a house, and I'm going to help you find a good house. But I think it's more of the people that you meet along the way and the relationships that you build with people. I mean, I'm still friends with a lot of my clients now. I mean, I've made lots of great friends as I've gone along. I mean, and I like the relationships that I've built with people from the beginning of their transaction to now we're 6 months past and we're still talking and trying to go to the park with our kids. And I mean, and I can call you for questions, and it's not, I mean, you make relationships throughout your process, and I think that has been the most rewarding and best part for me through real estate so far.
I love it. I love it. I was big on motivational speakers when I was a kid. Not being a motivational speaker, but listening to them. And one of the greats was a guy by the name of Zig Ziglar, who has since passed. But Zig Ziglar used to go to company meetings and company outings and motivate people. And he would do that. He would stand up and he said, "I'm going to motivate you." And he would tell stories and anecdotes about his journey and climbing the ladder of success in America. But one of his trademark sayings, which I like so much, "I see it in you, I see it in me, I see it in the greats, I see it in the legendary people in our business." He used to say that you can have anything in life you want if you will only help enough other people get what they want. And the first time I heard that, I have to say I was probably 17 or 18 years old. Now think about that for a minute. You can have anything in life you want if you will only help enough other people get what they want. The first time I heard that, I have to tell you, I was skeptical. Because when you're 17 or 18 years old, and again, I'm a different generation too. We were a little bit more. It was a little bit more sort of Wall Street. It was just a more society that put more of a premium on trying to get ahead, whatever the heck that means. So when I first heard that, I was skeptical because I thought, well, wait a second, I can't help other people get what they want. I need to help myself get what I want. But as you get older and you mature, and actually I realized the error of my ways many years ago, if you really do put yourself out there and you stick your neck out for other people, it comes back to you. You don't do that to have it come back to you. You have no expectation of anything coming back to you in return. But there's truth in it. I guess it's long-winded, and I apologize for that. But if you just wake up every day and you begin with the mantra of, I'm really going to be there for the people around me. I'm going to come through. I'm going to deliver for the people that need me today. I think what you'll find that if you help enough other people get what they want, you will get what you want. Do you believe that?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I do, and I think
because you practice
that also harps on partnerships too. I mean, if you don't have partnerships with people and help them along their way, if you call me and ask me a real estate question on a deal that you're doing with someone else, and it has nothing to do with me, I'm still going to answer you, and I'm still going to help you in any way that I can, because why not? We have a partnership. I mean, I don't care if you're going to, maybe this agent needs help. I'm going to help them. I mean, I'm not in it for myself. I am in it for myself, but I'm not in it for myself. I mean, I will help you get to where you need to be as I help myself get to be where I need to be.
Right.
And I mean, and I
can
think
do both.
Bonds and partnerships are a big portion of that. Like building a bond with a lender and an attorney are two things that a real estate agent has to do. And I mean, when you break that bond or you go somewhere else and break a bond and start over with someone new, that person isn't going to have it. They didn't help you get to where you are.
Right.
You know?
I do know.
Len was the first attorney I used, and I'm still sitting here, and I'll probably still be sitting here until Len closes his doors, because me and Len,
which is never. No,
me and Len grew together. Len helped me grow, and I sent him business and helped him grow. I mean, that's what a partnership is.
You have been listening to Keeping Up with Len Brie. I'm Len.
I'm Brie.
And thank you for tuning into our podcast.
Have a good one.